Hello and welcome to this special edition of the ILEETA Learning Lab. I'm Joe Willis, the Deputy Executive Director for ILEETA, and we're here today with Derek Miller. He's presenting at the 2026 ILEETA Conference and Expo in St. Louis, Missouri, and his class is one that I think is going to resonate with everyone out there. It's the ABCs of Gen Z: recruit, train, and retain. And Derek, without any further ado, man, I'm just going to kick it over to you because I know how important this topic is to you, but to the profession at large. So tell us about this. How did it come to be, and what are we going to learn?
I've been in law enforcement almost 20 years now, and the last few years things have changed drastically in the landscape of not just politically, but of the recruits we're bringing in. Having everybody struggling with retention, everybody struggling with recruiting, even how to get through and train. 2023, I become a master instructor in the state of Indiana. There's only, I think, about 60 master instructors at that level. Part of that was to write a thesis paper that we had to go in front of the board and defend. I wrote mine, and initially it was going to be the same topic: recruit, train, and retain. It was supposed to be a 5 to 8 page paper. At 18 pages, I stopped, and all I was through was recruiting. And I was like, there's so much information out here. It's just everywhere it needs to be pulled in. And so this class kind of builds off of that research paper that I did. And it really kind of come to me to do that because I'd been at FTO for years. Then I went into K9 and was out of FTO for 5 or 6 years. Come back into it, and the recruits I was getting, I was like, man, why am I struggling with these guys? I've never had an issue training before and getting points through, getting them to accept responsibility. And I was like, man, I'm just dealing with a whole different generation. And that's when I started doing the research on it. And they really are truly a different animal, not animal, but a different group that we really have to look at because they're our future. And if we're not reaching out to them, then we're going to miss out on it.
Love it. So let's talk about why that is. I mean, what makes them different? And I would argue, and I think research supports this, that every generation has looked at the next generation as different and seen cultural and communication challenges, and I mean, like all different things. There's a great video out there of Dragnet talking about your generation, and I mean that's from the 60s. So clearly it's been a factor, but I think research is telling us that Z and Alpha are definitely going to be far different from the others in what they're experiencing as part of their development.
They are. Gen Z is the first technology natives that we've had. I was born in 81, so I'm kind of that mix of Gen X, millennial. I think I kind of lean more towards Gen X values, but I've kind of got the ability, not as well as the Zs, but to pick up technology. So, but these guys, I mean, to reference, their Gen Z starts around 1997 to about 2012. And the first BlackBerry was put out in 1999. So these are the first group of kids that you were sitting at Denny's looking over, and they're sitting there on their parents' phones, barely able to talk, watching whatever on there. So they've picked up phones, they picked up technology from a very early age and just been born into it. My kids still can't believe that I didn't have the internet when I was growing up. It was something that I was probably almost in college before it was really available where I'm at. So I think a lot of the issues are rolling around with that amount of knowledge they have at their fingertips. It's not always a good thing. We always thought the problem we have was a lack of information. The problem we have now is a lack of good information. The other thing we're seeing is, I like to call it the TikTok effect. It started with the Vine videos, the little 30-second videos, and then TikTok come out and was more popular. And originally the TikTok videos were 30 seconds, and now I think they'll go up to about 10 minutes. But even as an adult, I'll sit there and flip through TikTok, and if within the first 15, 20 seconds, the video is not catching my attention, I flip to the next one. And recent studies showed that, especially with Gen Z, the attention span's down under 9 seconds. A goldfish, in reference, is like 9.5 seconds. So we've kind of dumbed ourselves down to the point where we're having problems holding attention span without some good way to capture their attention.
So let's talk about that. I do kind of want to jump into a question here real quick with you. So that has inevitably, as trainers, you and I, we definitely have a challenge in reaching that generation. And if a 9-second attention span is what I've got to capture and maintain, that's a challenge. But I think there's also an operational, and your experience as an FTO may kind of shine a light on this for me, an operational element to that, where in engagements in public, the ability to converse with people and be present in the moment. What are we seeing there, and what are the implications of that? And then I'll follow up with a question about how do we train through it.
Attention span with the communication is a little difficult. If I think they don't really want to wait for that delayed response. A lot of times silence speaks volumes when you're trying to talk to somebody, get information from them. That dead silence is just sitting there kind of looking at them. It's awkward for them, and they'll start talking. These guys, this group, they're not able to process that. They feel like there has to be something going constantly. So their communication, they're constantly talking, constantly trying to keep the conversation going. From that aspect of it, I think another issue we're seeing is the effects of COVID. This group, a lot of them, especially the younger ones, were at their formative years in school, where they should have been in school, building those communications, building those relationships, and they weren't. They were stuck at home. They were stuck 6 feet apart. They were living in a world where everybody was masked. You couldn't see the facial expressions. You couldn't read their face. So I think that's where they struggle a lot too. Is we're seeing that. I'm afraid that's going to be an even bigger issue with Gen Alpha, because I myself have a son he's getting ready to turn 13, and that was his kindergarten and first grade years. So those really formative years of building those interpersonal communication skills he missed out on because of COVID. So that's going to be an effect we'll see down the road too, I believe.
So let's talk the practical part of that now. Like, okay, so you brought up a really good thing that I was hoping you would get to, is we often look at Gen Z being the big one, but millennials were the last group that folks were looking at, as to here are all the problems with them and the reasons for it. Technology is a big factor for Gen Z. I really appreciate you mentioning COVID and the impacts that had. We also have another generational factor, which is millennials and Xers raising Gen Z and being part of their maturation, right? So maybe looking at it in a bigger scope, which I'm certainly grateful you're doing. How do we as trainers and leaders acknowledge that without being pejorative, like, and looking at it as a negative thing? Because clearly there are some benefits to their digital and nativeness. Is that the right way of saying it? However you say it. But there are some benefits. So how do we as leaders and trainers look at it not in a negative way, but perhaps leverage it?
As far as leadership, that's going to be leaning more towards recruiting and the retention. We have to be able to give them opportunities to interact with us. A lot of that is just pumping up your social media presence. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about the algorithms that these social media networks use. If you're not interacting with your community frequently, you're pushed to the bottom of the algorithm. You're not getting as many views as what you want to see. So I know my agency prior we didn't have we had a social media page. We didn't use it very much. And, we'd throw up a, hey, we're hiring page, and
no one would see it.
Getting a lot of information because it wasn't being seen. We didn't have the interaction. We've hired a person to do our social media now. They come in and do some videos. We had a couple of videos go viral. Over 1 million views. Some of our young guys dancing and acting a fool and kind of showing the side of the job. So now we're a little more. We're 1, 2, 3 posts a week, just different things to engage our audience. We've grown our audience greatly. But I'll show some videos, the recruiting videos. Like Miami PD had a fantastic one. Evansville Police Department next door to where I live at, they did a play off the Mandalorian. This is the way video, and
okay.
I don't know if you've seen that one or not, but it's fantastic. It's reaching out like that. It's finding that way to engage them in technology to bring them in. As far as getting them in and keeping them in with technology, it's being able to, we've gone away from paper a lot. I remember filling out time cards and filling with the mailbox, and now everything's digital. They can do their overtime cards and their time off requests on their phones. They can submit them to the computer. A lot of the paperwork's getting digital. Our schedules and stuff are online now instead of trying to dig your paper schedule out of your mailbox or something. So we have to reach out to them like that and give them those options. We have all kinds of different apps that are at our fingertips now, Carfax and our flock cameras and those things they can do on their phones and engage with those. And being able to engage that technology keeps them engaged, keeps them interested.
Love it. And, I was doing a little bit of quick math in my head there about some veteran stuff. So right now, when we look at, if I'm correct, Gen X kind of ends in 1980-ish, roughly, right?
Yes.
So that means that many of the people from the mid 60s, I think, is where Gen X starts, and up to the late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That generation is, well, first of all, the one I'm in, and a lot of my friends are retired because of the retirement systems that many of us are in, which may be a tough pill for some of my Gen X friends to swallow, is that our profession is being led by almost entirely millennials at the frontline level. And go ahead.
No, it really is. I was honestly just reading an article yesterday on MSN about the effects of the boomers that are still in. It was more written from the corporate side than it was actual law enforcement, but a lot of the boomers are retiring because of the Gen X. They not Gen X, I'm sorry, Gen Z. They don't meet
well, there's perhaps some values disalignment or
yes,
cultural experiences, and
a lot of it. Gen Z is more AI enabled, and especially when it comes to like the business side, with they're able to use AI in a way that boomers can never think about, and they're doing their work faster, more productive, and they see that as competition. They also see that they don't have the values of loyalty to companies like they do. These guys come in, a lot of baby boomers have spent 20, 30 years in a career, and these kids are looking for the next paycheck next week, and they really, that's not that big of a value to them. And the article led to the point that a lot of them grew up with parents who were Gen X and baby boomers who had companies that weren't loyal to them. Their family, they've seen their parents loyal to a company, just to see that company move out of the country, move somewhere else, lay off, fire people at will. And so they kind of question those values of, should I be loyal to a company like that when I watch my parents struggle like this?
Yeah, and so when you add in the instant gratification of a lot of the resources they've had, the economy differences, so many different factors there. So when we look at veteran pitfalls in leading and training incoming generations, and if I'm not mistaken, I mean, alphas, they're at least in your Explorer programs. I mean, they've not actually entering academies yet. No, they've got to be getting close.
They're about 2012, 2013s. So they're Explorer programs. They're at nothing else. They're in our middle schools. They're in our high schools. They're the ones we need to be reaching out to now, going to these job fairs, recruiting. That's one thing that, even though their interpersonal skills really aren't that huge with, they do enjoy that, having a face to put with a business or with an organization. A lot of organizations, departments have that one kind of token person that's out there doing all their social media stuff, and they want to resonate with them. The delayed gratification, I remember coming home from school, and if you weren't in front of the TV at 3:00, you didn't get to see cartoons, and it was whatever they wanted to show you. Now every episode is on there anytime you want to watch it. You don't have to watch the commercials. You don't have to watch the credits. It's just there. It's at demand. It's on demand. They don't wait for stuff. So the old days of doing a recruiting process or an application process that took 3-4 months, it's losing their attention. They're all about, let's do this quick, let's get this over with. So a lot of agencies are taking their recruiting programs from application through testing and interviews within a month and a half, and job offers are within 2 months sometimes.
Interesting. So, I mean, so we could have, I think, obviously, we're talking mostly the pragmatic, the tactical end of this as trainers and leaders. But when we look at things operationally, strategically, the time to hire is always a big factor, right? From flash to bang, I submit an application and I get into the academy or whatever part of the entry program I come into. We want to shorten that. But
Hmm?
there must be risks associated with rapid progression and moving an application through the system very quickly that our generations maybe weren't a part of, right? When the baby boomers hired my generation, the Gen Xers hired millennials, your generation, and obviously there's some overlap. We get that. We were all accustomed to it could take months and not hear back for quite a while. And we lost a lot of good candidates for that. So it's great that it's speeding up some, but there's got to be some risks. Any insight on that?
I mean, I think as long as we're still doing thorough background investigations, as long as we're still doing our research on these people, doing thorough interviews, I think that's where we're going to save ourselves. It's when we start rushing that process is where it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt us long term. It's so we've gone from we used to do an application process every 2 years, so we went to doing one every year to we do about two a year now. The
Oh, wow.
agency, sheriff's office next to us, Vanderbilt County, do one every quarter, do a testing process. So they just keep throwing names in the pool. But um, yeah, I think as long as we're taking our time with those background checks and really doing well with those and doing our research, doing our psychological evaluations, I think that's going to be our saving grace. Um, Unfortunately, there's a lot of agencies that are like, oh my gosh, I got somebody to actually apply. Um, I actually got somebody
Right.
here that's competent. Let's throw them on the road, and that's going to be a very bad long term effect for us, I think.
I hear that. And so before we run out of time, I want to talk through a couple of revisit on the pitfalls that veterans can learn to avoid in managing and training uh, Gen Z. Insight on
Well, they are kind of the first participation ribbon group. So we all know law enforcement's a thankless job. I think paying the respect and showing admiration where it's due is a benefit. Now, not overly flattering and just for little simple things, but when somebody does a good job, let them know about it. We have a guardian tracking system we use, and we can supervisors or admin can put in a positive for somebody, or a peer can put one in as well. And I've something I always tried to do when I had a younger crew was if I did something outstanding, I put one in for them. That was a recognition. And for me, when I got one from a peer, it was even better than coming from a supervisor, because it felt
yeah.
like the supervisor was like, oh, he did something, I should probably put something in on that. But when a peer took the time to sit down and write something out, it's like, okay, that they respect what I'm doing. They seen me doing something cool, doing something good, and they respected it. So that's one of the things we have to kind of do. And just accepting the technology. We've gone from when I started, we were still doing crash reports on paper with the little diagrams, and now everything's computerized. The tickets are computerized. There's no paperwork really anymore. We just switched to a system where all of our PCAs are electronic. We don't even sign the PCAs with a pen anymore. They're electronic signatured, and we don't print anything anymore. So um, that's that's a benefit. Seeing that, we just have to kind of keep pushing that technological boundary with um, updating our weapons. We've gone to um, red dot optics. We're pistol mounted optics. We've gone away from the traditional uniforms with all the brass and the buttons and the pins. We wear black polos with exterior carriers and khaki pants, and our community loves it. And our officers love it. It's kind of breaks out that traditional 1960s 1970s cop movies that this group has seen, and they're like, well, I don't want to be that. I want to be my own generation. And we're wearing we allow exposed tattoos now, as long as they're tasteful and not on your hands, face, your neck, or whatever. So it's differences like that we're having to make. They're very expressive, so they consider tattoos body art. That's the way of expressing themselves, and they want to kind of be their own generation. So that's where the new uniforms and stuff kind of come in, that gives them their distinct look for their generation.
Awesome. There's a lot wrapped into that. And I would love to pull the thread a little bit more on the importance of that generational identity thing and the evolution of an agency. And maybe in a follow-on conversation at the conference at least, but maybe in the future, even like this, I'd love to kind of pull that thread with you a little bit. But in the meantime, you've already alluded to it a couple of times regarding access to technology in operational environments, but also in the training environment. How does this integration of Gen Z affect the training environment needs? What can agencies do to better prepare to train and educate this incoming generation?
I think a lot of it has to do with again, keeping their attention. Dan Frazier has some great classes on building slides and PowerPoint. So does Instructor Z. And it's all about, they come in and they see a board full of bullet points and they just shut down. But if you've got just a picture up there and a few words and you're changing slides pretty often, it's keeping their attention involved. It keeps their attention on the instructor and not on the screen, which is good. Gen Z does not multitask well. That's one of the things that studies are showing. They're not able to really do more than one task at a time without really kind of struggling at it. So keeping their focus on the instructor and not so much on the screen, on whatever else is going on, is a big aspect of that. And then just trying to meet them on their level. And they do have differences, but accepting those and trying to do that. One of the things I did was I finally come to blows with one of my trainees. We had an argument, and he's like, "I don't know what you expect out of me." And I kind of sit back and we, as part of our new officer training program, we explain the FTO program and what's expected out of them from the program. But I sit back and it's like, what do I expect out of him? So I sit down and I wrote out a list. And here's the things that I expect out of you. Basically, I expect you to show up on time, ready to go to work. I expect the night before not to affect this morning. Don't go out and play softball game tonight and strain your hamstring and come in tomorrow limp in, or go out with your friends tonight and have a little too much and come in hungover tomorrow. And then I put what they can expect out of me. You can expect me to go to bat for you. You can expect me to push you out of your comfort zone to make you a better officer. You can expect me to train you so you make it home tonight and every night after that. And they've responded well to that. All of them I've given it to. I've had a few other FTOs give me, "Can I have your paper?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
I love it, man.
We go over it. I read it. They read it. It's one of the things I'm going to put in my file for my class. I'll put that in there in case anybody wants to use it. I'm one of these guys. If I make something, I don't care if somebody else uses it. That's what it's all about.
Take it.
Take it, use it. I've got training programs I've built that I've sent them all across the country that people are using. So it's nothing special, but it's kind of cool knowing it's out there. But those are things that they've really responded well to that, knowing clearly what I expected out of them, clearly what they could expect out of me, and what they could expect out of the training program.
That's so cool. I'll tell you, you said two things in there that just reaffirmed and underscored the ILEETA membership and what it is to be an instructor at the ILEETA conference. And I'm going to highlight both of them. First of all, when I asked you about updating training and the training environment and that sort of stuff, what a lot of folks are being called to do is get a smart board or add apps, and everybody should get an iPad. And you didn't go there. And clearly there may be some advantage to that, but you went right to the realities of good instructorship. And I think this generation, more than any other, based on their digital nativeness, needs that almost less. In fact, they probably already have it. The best thing to do is facilitate them being able to bring your own device. But it's more about teaching what good instructorship looks like. Yeah. And then that last one there about man, Derek, I apologize, drawing a blank. There was another say again.
What I expect out of them, what they didn't expect out of me.
Yeah. Yes. And the importance of sharing that. So that piece, and actually I do want to, at the conference, kind of bend your ear on that. And so one of the things I've been working on myself is from a team leader's perspective in the military, you are expected to do 4856. It's a counseling statement with your teams and with your soldiers, and that's a big part of it, that reception and integration counseling of what I expect of you and what you can expect of me. And that's nested in the same thing that my supervisor told me, I now tell the people. And the FTO is the first team leader, essentially, that new officer is going to get, the new employee is going to get. And so that is awesome. But what you said in that was the sharing it part. That is the coolest thing about most of our ILEETA membership is it's not a I own this, you can't have it. It's a here's a part I can give to you without giving away my proprietary stuff or any department, information that I shouldn't be sharing. Here's what you can take and make your own. And that just speaks volumes to, ILEETA, but who you are as an ILEETA member and being an instructor, obviously you get it. So anyway, I would love to continue this conversation, but we're hitting that half-hour mark here. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to you. Last words on what can one expect when they show up to your class? What are they leaving with?
Hoping it's a better understanding of this generation. Because I think I'm presenting it as the last class on Wednesday and the last class on Friday. So hopefully people stick around on Friday and come. But it's just a better understanding. I said in the share file, I'm going to put my the paper I wrote for my master instructor. That's going to be up there. Anybody wants to pull that down and read it, they can. All my sources that I use for this presentation, I'm going to make sure those are listed in there so they can pull those videos, those articles, and read those as well. And just hopefully open their mind. If they walk out with one thing, they go change something, that's great to me. If everybody walks out and only one person does something, I still feel like I've succeeded. If I can change one person's mindset on where they're at and what they do, that's all I'm there for. If the whole room lifts me over their shoulders and cheers on the way out, that's fantastic, but that's not what it's there for. It's one person at a time. If I can change minds, open ears, then that's what I'm looking to do.
Awesome. Yeah. And you're talking about such an important topic here. Thank you very much for making it part of the conference and your contribution. So I'm going to go ahead and thank you for being here. Thank everybody for watching. We're looking forward to seeing you all, you, Derek, and everybody else at the ILEETA 2026 Conference and Expo in St. Louis, Missouri, the 16th through the 21st of March at the Union Station Hotel, right downtown. Beautiful area in St. Louis. So thank you again so much. Derek, stick around. I got a couple other questions for you after the call ends.
Thank you.